morning, everyone. This is Linda with Bedtime Bible Chat. I won't be on the screen today, but that doesn't matter. I've got a fashion show I want to show you. It is to elaborate on our verse of study today in Proverbs 11, verse 22, where it says, "Like a gold ring in a pig's snout is a beautiful woman who shows no discretion." So let's get into our fashion show because it will show you what King Solomon was talking about here. Now, back in the late 60s, 70s, and 80s, Cher shook society with her very provocative outfits at the Oscars. And, of course, the media calls it her wonderful outfit. Wonderful, yeah. Well, then she comes out with all these other wonderful outfits, quote unquote, that is very exposing of her body. And this is exactly what Solomon was talking about. If you are exposing yourself in a quote unquote provocative way, that's just a nice way of saying you're being slutty, then you're like a pig with the gold ring in your nose. You're still a pig. There is no getting around it. You used to be beautiful, but then when you came out in this stuff, you were no longer beautiful. You were just a pig with a gold ring in your nose. Cher was the first one, as I recall, who did this. When she came out on stage with that outfit at the Oscars, you could hear society gasping because this was the first experience with a pig with the gold ring in the nose. And society before that time, they put their foot down. They did not, you notice something's here, right? Okay. They did not really allow this type of things in public. Now, this is this year's Oscar, and as you can see, it is showing everything. This woman just has a Band-Aid type thing over her breasts, and that to cover the nipples, and that's it. And here is a contrast of Marilyn Monroe, who was considered, the biggest prostitute in Hollywood. Well, the poor girl got a bad rap, but Lady Gaga is trying to copy Marilyn Monroe, but she goes way too far. Let's see some of the examples here. You see, Marilyn Monroe's not showing any cleavage here. She shows an arm, but that's it. Well, Gaga's got to take it further. She's barely holding up her dress there. And there is Marilyn Monroe, considered to be very provocative in that pose. Well, Lady Gaga, she's got to go further. She's in a pantsuit, so that's good. But down here, we have Marilyn Monroe being provocative, showing her chest above her boobs, about where the collarbones are. That's provocative back in the 50s. And Lady Gaga, she goes further and shows everything. And here is a very provocative pose by Marilyn Monroe. Back in the 50s, I remember this pose. And it caused all the society to freak out that a woman would do this in public, would appear in public like this. How dare she? Well, Lady Gaga wants to take it further and show it all, as you can see. And in here, Marilyn, she's pretty classy in today's in today's dress. I mean, you know, she doesn't look bad at all there if you compare her to Gaga, who is showing it all. And here is Marilyn showing her shoulder. That's how dare she? Okay, let's go on to the next one. Now, this is the young people of today. Hollywood is teaching the young people today to be slutty, to show it all, to sexualize the young people of today. As you can see, they're showing midriff, they're showing breasts, and this is the teenagers, like 18, 19, and in the early 20s. And now you got the young teenagers, like the 13, 14, 15. They're showing a lot also. Back in the 50s, Audrey Hepburn was considered a lady. She was always a lady. She appeared dressed as a lady. She was the epitome of modesty. And this is what Hollywood has gotten away from. Now the question is, why? Why did society allow Hollywood to go crazy? Because back in the 50s, there was a morality clause in Hollywood's contracts. And you dare not to break that, because many a star got fired for breaking the morality clause. But society started buying into this perversion of fashion because Hollywood made it look so wonderful. And now the young people want to be like that too. Well, as our scripture tells us, you can be the most beautiful woman, but once you start putting on all of those fashions that show everything, you become that pig with the gold ring in your nose. You are a pig. Unfortunately, it's spreading all the way down into the young children. I know this young girl who, I think she was about 12 years old. She was showing cleavage, and boy, she was built like a brick, house. At 12 years old, all the hormones they put in food nowadays, the kids really mature fast. But she was showing too much cleavage for a 12-year-old. I'm talking a lot of cleavage. This is how Hollywood is infecting, not affecting, but infecting our children with all of their profane ways of living. They're making promiscuity popular. They're making immodest clothing popular. They're making their wokeness spread like crazy. It's something that we just didn't permit in the 50s. In the 50s, the society would rile up when they saw something that was immoral. But then in the late 60s, and I do remember when Cher came out in that dress, I mean to tell you, it was like you could almost hear society as a whole gasping. I call it a dress simply because I don't know what else to call it, but it was it was even the reporters was talking about how shocking it was. So society may have gasped, but they didn't fight back. And society is not fighting back today. The Christians are quiet. They've learned over the years that it doesn't matter how much Christians argue about this, try to point it out that it's wrong. Society is gone their evil ways. The church itself has split so bad. There are parts of the church that is accepting all this evil. Drag queens in the church, gay pastors, tranny pastors. It's beyond anything that the church, the true church, can do now. Remember, the way is narrow and few will enter. I can see that more and more every day. The church as a whole has splintered, separated, to the point that the true church is a minuscule entity. It has so few in it that, remember, Jesus said he wondered when he comes back, will there be any righteous left on earth? And that's where we're at now. There are so few of us. You know, when the late great planet Earth came out, people thought that when the rapture happens, there would be so many millions of people taken in the rapture that it would just disrupt economies and governments and everything about regular life. It would disrupt it terribly. Well, back in the 80s, yeah, probably. But now, there are so few true Christians out there that I don't even think that it'll make the headlines. I really think that it will be a bleep. Maybe it'll be buried on the back page somewhere. Some people are missing, and that's it. I mean, it's that few that are true Christians. The church has shrunk down to a pea size. And it started back in the 60s. I was married then. I was a grown up in the 60s, and so I know I watched it all happen. And we just gasped, but we didn't do anything. You know, we were busy protesting abortion, but that was all that we protested, actually. We put all our efforts in that. Oh, excuse me. So, hold on. But when you let one part of your moral fiber come unraveled, the rest of that fabric will unravel with it. You can't pull one string out of your sweater and expect the sweater to stay intact. You go pulling on that string and the whole sweater comes unraveled. The same is with this immoral Hollywood back in the day. That was the one thing, in my opinion, who I lived in those days back in the 50s, the late 40s and the 50s and so on. So I know what I saw back in those days. Hollywood was the biggest tool Satan had back then. It wasn't anything else. They didn't have all this stuff that we've got now that brings evil into the world. Hollywood was their major tool. Not even the news was as it is today. It was Hollywood going from this to this. That is what took these children to this. And they're worse than that. Have you ever seen them on the beach? it's a, a string. Everything else is showing. Because we left this and went to these things. This is the main thing that happened back in the day. I was there. I know the only thing that was showing up as immoral was Hollywood. And when Cher came out that day, yes, it made society take a collective gasp. But nobody did anything. Nobody turned off the TV, stopped going to the movies. Nobody did anything. And look at where we are now. Our children, young children, are being conditioned to be sexual and promiscuous and show everything. That's what King Solomon was talking about here. Like a gold ring in a pig's snout is a beautiful woman who shows no discretion. Audrey Hepburn was a beautiful woman all the way through. She presented herself as a beautiful woman. These women, if you just look at their face, you'd think, oh, they're beautiful. But then when you see how they present themselves, they look like sluts, prostitutes, pigs with a gold ring in their mouth, in their nose. These individuals tore down our society one year at a time. And these outfits was the tool Satan used on these pigs. You know, Cher was always slutty. That was just who she was. But society accepted it. And that's the sad part. And it's too late to get back to being moral. Satan has a big hold on this world now. And there is no changing for the good. We're in the end times. The scripture tells us it's only going to get worse, not better. But how do you stand all of this mess? You commune with the Lord often. You ask Him to keep you strong so that you can make it to the end. Because if you can make it to the end, there's a crown waiting for you. So there you have it, guys. I hope this did some good. You know, society's it's not going to be saved by mere humans. The government is not going to be cleansed and made right by mere humans. Nothing is going to be made right until Jesus returns. That's when all things will be made right. So hang on. Endure to the end. You will get your crown, and you will be raptured when the Lord returns in the air. And you don't have to experience what this world is going to be experiencing for 7 years. So hang on to your morality. Hang on to your faith. That's what's going to get you through this time. All right, guys, there you have it. I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring as to whether I can be on screen. I just have to take it a day at a time. All right.